but I've got an email, Brian, from Brian. Not you, though.
No, certainly not.
Somebody stole your name. It's Brian from Reno. And he says, "Dear Mr. Cornette," and I want you to help me understand this, Brian Last, not Brian from Reno, because I don't know what he's talking about here. You got to help me. I just finished listening to episode 339 of The Experience and about wanted to tear my ears off.
Well, that's a promising start.
When you were discussing AEW's budget in Nevada, remember we were talking about that, how much money they spent on doing the TV and everything.
Yeah, and that, I guess that was part of the story, was that it kind of exposed potentially what the overall talent budget was annually.
Yes, and all that stuff. Well, Brian from Reno says, "I would almost rather hear Vince Russo read the Bible with a hot poker up his ass than hear you pronounce Nevada. Aside from screaming Carson City, when you thought my beautiful hometown of Reno was our state capital." Well, I don't know.
Carson. Just this guy's really into it.
Well, you know, goddamn, hey, our state capital is Frankfurt. I don't expect most people not from Kentucky to know that. But anyway, he was also screaming Nevada. Mr. Cornette, please, it is not Nevada. It's Nevawwdah. It's Nevada, Nevawwdah. I mean, not spelling, but pronunciation.
I think that's wrong, too.
Well, he says ah as in McMahon, not aw as in Khan.
I thought it was Nevada.
I thought but he's saying I'm not saying Nevada, and I'm saying Nevada. I don't know how else to say. Now I've scared myself into thinking that I'm trying to pronounce it right and differently from the way I've done it before, but I always just say Nevada. Nevada, right?
That's a lot of people say that, but I think it's actually Nevada.
Well, he says
Nevada.
It's Nevada.
No,
not Nevada.
That's what you said. Wait, what?
He says I'm saying it's Nevada, and it's Nevada.
Nevada.
Las Vegas, Nevada. You're saying Nevada.
How does he phonetically spell this out?
He says it's not Nevawwdah. That would be Nevada.
Nevada, yeah.
It's Nevada, Nevawwdah.
Nevada.
No, that'd be Nevada.
If it was Nevada, how would you spell it? It's the same way.
I'd spell Well.
Hey, whoa, what are you ripping up?
I don't understand. It's fucking Las Vegas and suburbs. How's that?
I have an email here, Jim, from Sam. He says, it's Missouri, not Missouri.
Oh, God damn it. Down there in old Mississippi.
Mariah, not Maria.
Well, you say Maria, I say Mariah, and I say Maria, and you say Mariah. Let's call the whole thing off.
Have you how much time have you spent in Nevada? Specifically, I guess Vegas. Have you been to Reno?
I've never been to Reno.
What about Carson City?
I've never even. Nobody talks about Carson City. When do you hear?
Never.
You hear about Laughlin. I've been to for the LPWA. You hear about Laughlin. You hear about Las Vegas a time or two. Reno. Hear about that. Fucking Carson City. What the fuck's going on there? Do they have casinos in Carson City?
I don't know. Hey, hold on. Let's do a deep dive real quick into Carson City. No, not the Johnny Carson fan site. Let's go to Carson City, Nevada.
You know that, goddammit, Johnny Carson was making more money at one point than anybody on television. And he should have bought a bunch of property in the 60s and 70s in California, and they could have turned it into Carson City and made a fucking fortune. He could have sold it every night on TV.
If you really think about it, he doesn't have the rights, or his estate doesn't have the rights to the actual name The Tonight Show, but all the existing footage of Johnny Carson's Tonight Show, they own. And whenever he renegotiated, remember, he was doing like a 90-minute live show every night, or 5 nights a week. I think sometimes 6 nights a week. And then he got it so that he had 4 nights a week for 60 minutes. He owned the hour after his show. And he owned all of his master tapes, and he took off Fridays.
Do you remember what his first power play was, though?
What was that? Wouldn't be the move to California?
No.
No, what was the first one?
The very first power play was, and I'm old enough that I remember some of the local stations still doing this. But he took over in what, 63 from Jack Parr, or 62. 62, yes, from Jack Parr. And still to by 64, 65, whatever, The Tonight Show technically was an hour and 45 minutes. Because a lot of the local 11 o'clock news was 15 minutes in those days. Not as much happened, right? So The Tonight Show originally came on at 11:15 and went till 1 o'clock. But as the local stations started switching their newscast to 30 full minutes, some of the local stations would preempt the first 15 minutes of The Tonight Show and join it at 11:30. And when he got wind of enough of it, he said, why am I going out there and doing my fucking monologue when not everybody is listening or watching? So he wouldn't come on until 11:30. They would have Ed McMahon and Skitch Henderson, who was the band leader then, go out and play a song and do the audience warm up. And they would introduce Johnny Carson at 11:30, 15 minutes into and then they just said, fuck it, we're just going to start at 11:30. And they got him to actually shorten his show on purpose.
If you ever see any of the old footage from when the show was longer, maybe at least 90 minutes, I don't know if they have any of the footage from back then, it's such a better pace for conversation.
Yeah.
And, at that time, too, they're smoking. And they literally have time in the show to, light up, sit back, think, and ask a question. It's remarkable. And you don't have that anymore. I mean, you don't even have talk shows. They have that girl they gave a show to after Stephen Colbert. And again, like Johnny and like Letterman, Colbert has the time slot after him. He owns that. Or, his production company does. So they got to pick what was going to be there. And it's not a talk show. It's some kind of bizarre game show for an audience of I don't know who. It's a dying art form. And I think a lot of the problem is no one does it right. Craig Ferguson did it right. That was the last guy that really did it right.
Tom Snyder, where's he when you need him?
He died, unfortunately.
Well, we could try to find his kids. Did he have kids?
Did you ever see the Tom Snyder episode with John Lydon, Johnny Rotten, and Keith Levine from Public Image Limited?
Oh God, I didn't see it live. I saw the tape at one point in time, and it's been many, many decades.
That is maybe one of the single greatest heel performances in rock and roll history. And anyone who's learning how to do promos or wants to learn how to be just a real fucking heel, just to the core, like you really like, oh my God, this guy just hates everything. Watch this. Watch John Lydon on speed and jet lagged do an interview with Tom Snyder, and he's just not playing along. It's hysterical. Amazing.
And Tom Snyder was one of the more sarcastic individuals on network television at that point, too.
The other ones I would say, yeah, and that's why they didn't jive at all. And they actually ended up right before I think Tom Snyder left the air. They had a reunion like in the 90s, and it was very chummy and very, I'm sorry, I was a jerk, just all of a sudden a different tone.